So I spent like about 3 months reading 12 volumes of the Spirit Archives by Will Eisner. And like that was excellent actually. No, I don't think was it 12? Was it more? No, it was around 12 archives of the Spirit Archives I read. And that's a fantastic comic book series. Definitely worth checking out. Um, I think they're out of print, but you can still find them. I would totally get them and read them. They It's really worth it, trust me. Like, it may seem dated and some parts are, but like the overall whole, the package, oh my god, it's some of the most fantastic comics you could ever hope to get. Okay, so I finished that, and I am given to read The Pilgrim's Hypothesis, which is also a really great book. It actually illuminated some key aspects for me that actually solved the riddle of why my house was haunted. Like, yeah, well, technically, like, there are a variety of factors. It just, like, illuminated the point that was blatantly staring me in the face of why my house was haunted as a kid. So, anyway, Pilgrim's Hypothesis is good. Taught me about the children of Ephraim. Now, my grandfather, he knew about the children of Ephraim, and he said something I could never understand, you know? And, like, I knew he was a smart man, but I didn't know why he said that. And I realized it's because he read the Bible, and he understood it because he paid attention. And, like, I'm not as I'm a very studious person. I'm trying to get to my grandfather's level, but, anyway, it was blatantly pointed out to me what happened to the children of Ephraim. And I'd highly recommend you check that out. It blew my mind for a while. I had to make peace with it. I'm cool with it. Yeah, check out, I think it's late Genesis, early Exodus. There should be references to the children of Ephraim. Check it out. But yeah, like, there are other points too. Like, it really illuminated for me, like, a key aspect of America's history as well. Like, where we come from, our founding, our principles, our purpose, where are we going, and, yeah, anyway, I'm not saying this has some really mind-blowing information in it. As a historian, it blew my mind. Like, a lot of this information is blowing my mind as a historian, especially finding out the factual elements of it. But I'm not here to really preach about the Bible. I'm just saying, like, what I've been reading. And then I read Calvin and Hobbes. All of it. Calvin and Hobbes is one of the greatest comic strips ever. Possibly the greatest comic strip ever. Calvin's interesting, I'll admit, but I'm finding I really like Calvin's dad the best. He's my favorite character. I don't get it. Like, I always thought, like, Calvin's dad was, like, kind of mean or something as a kid, and as an adult, I'm freaking loving Calvin's dad. Calvin's dad is a freaking awesome character. I know he's not on more people's, like, top 10 favorite characters lists. No, maybe he should be on part of my top 10 favorite characters lists. Calvin's dad. He's always, like, at work. He's on the bicycle, cursing at everybody for destroying the environment. He's just real about stuff. He's really real about stuff, and he loves fucking with his child's head. And that's good. I'm not saying it's good to fuck with the child's head, but it's good for entertainment in a comic strip. It's always entertaining. But, Calvin and Hobbes is just a great strip. And I love how it ends. It has a great ending for a strip. And, on one hand, like, I'm kind of sad we never got any more Calvin and Hobbes. But on the other hand, I see Bill Watterson's point is, like, if he did any more, like, we'd pretty much start cursing him for ruining it, and yeah, so maybe it's best that he walked away on top. Like some of the best people, some of the best artists, they walk away while they're at the top of their game. Look at Christopher Titus. He had the number one television show he had the number one television show, and like at the height of it, he walked away. Like, well, technically he got canceled, but still, like, he went out on top. Anyway, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, like after that, I read The Black Pearl by Scott Odell. Fantastic book. Like, I think it's the only book I read in like pretty much one night. It's a fast read, but it's a really good read. I'd highly recommend it. Scott Odell's The Black Pearl. Anyway, after that, I read Streams of the River, River to the Sea. And if I had to pick any book out of the entire year of books I've been reading, I'd say Streams of the River, River to the Sea is the best book I've read this year. Not counting biblical spiritual awakenings and stuff like that. Streams of the River, River to the Sea. It's the tale of Sacagawea and her journeys with Lewis and Clark to the American West. Actually, here in Washington, actually. Well, at our border, anyway. Yeah. Get to the Pacific. And it's a great book. I'd highly recommend it. Yeah. Let's see. I probably have more to say. I don't want to go too much into it right now. I have a lot to get through. And we're only just beginning, trust me. There's a lot to go through. Yeah, after that, I began to read On Stranger Tides. Yeah, and I finished On Stranger Tides. I read Captain Blood. After I finished Captain Blood, I read 2 Sherlock Holmes books. I read the last 2 Tom Sawyer books. What do I think there was another book? I know I was reading Tarzan and I got halfway through that. And I know I read the Life and Death of King John. That illuminated something for me in my writing. And I read King Henry VI, Part 1, Part 2, and I'm nearly done with Part 3, so I'm reading Shakespeare now. So that's good. I'm also reading Neil Gaiman's Sandman, and I've seen some movies written by Neil Gaiman. Let's see. There was the Beowulf one. It was an interesting take on Beowulf. I didn't really care for that story, but I think it was really well done as for like a 2-hour adaptation of the entire story. I get it. I just prefer the legend in full, and I'm pretty sure Neil Gaiman would agree with me on that. Anyway, after that, let's see. I saw Mirror Mask. That's a really great movie, and the only thing I didn't like about it was how it ended. But as a writer and a director and like a storyteller, I'm starting to see that maybe the issue wasn't Neil Gaiman's writing of the ending, but rather how the actress delivered her lines that he gave her. So I think it was more like her delivery wasn't as intense as it needed to be. Yeah. So that's just how I see it, but it's a fantastic movie. Check it out. Well worth the companionship of The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. Yeah, so let's see.